Okay, let's try this again. Kelly, I don't know if you're there. I think I'm in the group this time. Okay, bring them on.
Yay, it's in the group this time.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. People on my personal page are probably like this fucking psychopath. Like, what is she even talking about? But
Yeah, I just checked your personal page. We're good. We're good.
okay,
It's
cool.
in the group. We are good to go. Well, maybe it's a little teaser to bring people over here. Oh. Take two.
See, it breaks it up. It breaks up the pattern. Sometimes it's just whatever. We don't need to take it so serious, right? And I know people are gonna get really upset at me for saying that right now when they're going through like somatic releases and like wanting to like us to end the group because they're feeling so much of their shit. But it's okay, you guys. It's okay to feel your shit. Get really excited about it. That
Yeah,
was
like
one thing I learned really. Yeah, one thing I learned really fucking early on in my journey was like okay, like something's coming up. This is fucking epic because it's just showing me that it's on its way out. And if I were to identify with it and think it meant something about me, it would perpetuate it, the cycle. But going into whatever comes up in a way that, okay, this is coming up and out. Like I'm feeling it on its way through me out. It doesn't have anything to do with me anymore. It's leaving because it actually doesn't have anything to do with me anymore. It can't fit in my field anymore. But if it were to be coming up on its way out and then you identify with it, then you're just keeping it there.
and then it's going to keep running the show, and then so much more in your life is going to just keep mirroring that for it to come up even worse and worse until you finally feel
And
it.
then you wonder why you're in your fucking dark night for 20 years.
Because you're just perpetuating
You're doing it to yourself.
And the universe is like, I'm trying to help you finally feel this so you can be free. And you're like, no, no. And so it's like, okay, let me fucking smack you even harder. Let me make you feel even fucking worse. It's like, how much worse can we make this fucking feel until you finally feel it?
And then you think you're getting punished because you don't understand what the fuck is going on. And you think you're like, the universe hates you or something. When the universe is like, oh my God, you dumbass. Like, can you just wake up? It's not having anything to do with you. I'm not calling anyone a dumbass,
Yeah.
but like, you know, it's innocent.
Yeah, and it's really hard because it's like when it comes up in your personal experience, like it feels like the most important thing in the universe. It's like it feels like it's like so real, and it feels like nothing else is important. Like this is the most important thing, and it feels like life or death, like what you're going through. So just start to notice that like the mind will grab onto it and make it feel like the worst thing ever. And it's like, oh, once you pass through it, it's like, oh, like it didn't even happen. It's like, oh, then you're like laughing and like nothing even ever happened.
Can you bring presence into your experience of your feelings? Oh, damn it. That's what I wanted to do because I wrote the title of it when it was on my page. And then I'm a little bit all over the place right now, but that's okay. The point is that we wanted to come on here and talk about where feelings fit in the mix of what we shared earlier about presence. Like where, because so many people think like, oh, I'm experiencing an emotion, I'm experiencing a feeling. That means I'm not doing something right. That means I'm fucking up. It means I'm doing it wrong. And that's not true. You will have your feelings. You will always feel feelings. What we're sharing with you is how to relate to them differently so that you can actually feel really fucking happy while you're sobbing grief. Because that's what happens. That's where
Yeah,
the
there's still
freedom is.
Yeah, there's such a misconception that it's like, I think they feel like once you reach there, once you get to a certain point, that you're just going to be like happy and blissed out all the time and never have any kind of emotion whatsoever.
And the thing is, that is the case, but it's not in the experience of what you think it is from where you're at right now.
Yeah.
You can't comprehend what that experience is like from where you're at. So don't worry, you are good all the fucking time, but it doesn't mean that you don't cry, or it doesn't mean that you don't feel um, pain or like sadness or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that you see it so clearly that you can't take it seriously. So you're just happy even though you feel that emotion. It's such a far away experience for you. And you get to that point by practicing being in presence, which we started to talk about in our first video. So if you didn't see that one, did you put it as an announcement, Kelly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
if you
it's
click on the announcements tabs in the left-hand side, it's there.
so it's up at the top, and it's not it's just the beginning, right? So we're just starting to introduce these concepts, and they can be really blurry in the beginning, but just like watch the videos. And if anyone, like, if you guys want to, I don't know if how many people of you did this, but click on to get notifications, because I think that automatically doesn't work in Facebook anymore, and you have to actually like manually go into your settings and click notifications in the group to actually get notifications that we're posting videos and um, whatever. So just a reminder of that. But before I got on here, I ended up on accident going onto my personal page and going off on there for like 10 minutes. And we were addressing the issue of like people already starting to get really triggered in this group, like feeling really shitty after watching our videos, or having, like earlier, Celine was having a somatic response after watching a video, and just expressing how that's really common. It's really, really common, and it's actually a really good sign that you're healing. So don't worry, and we were just saying, like, get excited about your, things that come up for you, because it just means it's coming up and out. And you can, if you re-identify with it, and like something's coming up, and you're like, oh my god, that's my experience right now. It's like you're missing the point of why that's even coming up, because it's trying to get out of your body. So just notice it. Just keep watching it as it comes out. It's okay. Can you feel it as much as you can feel it possibly in that moment? Because the more you can feel it with awareness, the faster it leaves. The thing is that we feel like when it comes up, yeah, and then it's like we push it down, but that's not helping anything.
And I think that's like one of the reasons why I wanted to bring in distractions. Like I made that post around like, what are your distractions? It's not just to like, oh, let's just talk about our distractions, ha ha ha. But it's like those distractions are the very things that also stop us from feeling. Because like as soon as something comes up in my it's like this old program that's running that says, oh, Callie, okay, if sadness comes up, if grief comes up, if pain comes up, it's like that's not good. That's what we've been pounded into from childhood. You start crying and your parents are like doing everything to get you to stop crying. It's like it's so ingrained in us. So it's like as soon as like I have like a pain or a fear or something come up, it's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I get busy, or I like go and do this or go and do that. That's what we're saying. Get really aware of your distractions, and can you start to cut all of them? Can you start to cut, like, okay, maybe I grab that cigarette, or maybe I grab, my iPhone to start scrolling, or I start to do this, or maybe I start talking a lot. It's like, can I just like cut everything? And just like, for me, it almost took like, okay, just laying in my bed and curling up and like, okay, I'm here for you. Let me just like feel this and be there.
The point is to feel, not feel. Freedom is in the feeling, and healing is in the feeling. So that's the whole point. Like we were asking, yeah, what are your distractions? Because when you're distracting yourself, you're avoiding feeling the feeling that's asking you to feel it, so you can fucking leave your field. I spent literally months at a time of my life sitting in my room and feeling, when I got to a point where I was so fucking sick of my shit. It's like, I'm gonna sit here and in my mind go make up every single worst case scenario I could possibly think of and face that shit in my mind and die to it and feel it again and again and again and again and again until it doesn't fucking phase me anymore. I did that for months. And we're not saying go that hardcore if you don't want to, but at least to start getting used to feeling what's actually there. Start unnumbing yourself. Like, can you just sit or lay down and just start to feel your body? Like, where is it tense? And under the tenseness, what's the feeling? Is it like agitation? Is it anxiety? Is it sadness? Are you, are you feel lonely? Start to feel your aura. Your body will tell you what you're storing, what you're not letting go of. So in the video we made earlier about presence, so can you combine the two? So it doesn't mean, oh, I'm in presence, like I don't have feelings. It's like we want to bridge the gap, which is the point of why we even came on in the first place here. It's like, well, where do feelings fit into this whole thing of presence that we talked about earlier?
Mm.
And the words don't need to sink in. Can you stop trying to hear the words and just tune into like the space that we're coming from behind those words? You don't need to figure it out. If none of this makes sense, it's perfect. It doesn't need to make sense. Can you rest into just listening or rest into just being? And if you notice your mind trying too hard to pick up on the words, can you relax that? Your mind doesn't need to understand what's happening here.
Mm. That was a big one for me. I think I kept, when I heard these pointers, and I was, had some teachers that were very, very strict on the pointings and were leading to these big things that I just couldn't even fucking grasp. And I feel you. It was like that exhaustion of like, none of this fucking makes sense. I don't get it. Like, what's going on? And the mind was like trying so hard. And I had to get so exhausted where I just fucking gave up. And it's like to that point of like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And it's like from that space of just giving up, it's like then there was actually space to rest into the silence. So it's like even allowing yourself to feel like the frustration or the exhaustion or whatever is there in that moment.
And to know that confusion is actually a really good sign.
Yeah.
If you're hearing us talk and you're fucking confused, it's actually a really good sign that whatever is happening right now that's being exchanged between us is like um, breaking up those like stuck reference points in your head. And that can feel like confusion. And don't worry. Don't worry if the confusion's coming up. Realize that's also a feeling that's coming up as it's releasing out, as something is healing in this space.
Oops.
I remember when um, I was going through a process and um, I was doing a certain like a practice, like this presence practice. So dedicated to it. I was so like all I fucking did. And at some point, I just started to get really confused. I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. Or am I doing this right? Am I not? I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Nothing made sense to me for months. And I could see how I could have gone into that and gotten really worried about, oh, I'm so confused, like I don't get it. But what I chose instead was like, okay, I have intuitively, I feel like the thing that's getting confused is the part that is breaking up as it dies, as it leaves me, because that's the thing that's making me feel imprisoned. It's that falsity that's getting confused as it loses its grip. So I just kept doing it. I just kept presence, presence, presence. And everything heals in presence. You see, the confusion will heal in presence. The fear, the sadness, everything does as you start to drop into the space. And we're going to go into that more. I mean, we made one video just introducing what that even is, but we're going to keep going into it in this group. How to even touch presence. So don't worry if you don't understand what we're talking about, or like nothing in this group makes sense to you. If it's just like so far over your head and you're just like, what the fuck is this? All I do is feel like shit, or I'm just like lost. It's totally perfect. It's really okay.
And just really trust in the process of it all, that something is, you know, it's like, I think you're saying, yeah, that's why you're still here, even though you don't understand. And it's like, can you just trust that you're here for some reason? You know, there's something in that pull. And it's really like, for me, it was like the surrendering into this trust. And for me, when I first met Henna, like there was so much resistance as to like what she was pointing to or what she was sharing, and like just so much was triggering inside of me, and so much pain and everything. And it was like I had to just finally like say, fuck it, like, can I really just trust her too? Can you guys just trust the space? And can you trust this process? You don't have to understand it, but can you just allow yourself to unravel in it?
And this is what, I don't know if how many people even watched that first video, but that's what I was saying. It's like, I've never met an individual who doesn't get triggered around me. I'm not saying that in any like weird way, but it's true. It's what happens. It's natural. It's just, it's okay. It's okay. It's actually really good.
And when you start to see it, I mean, for me, it was kind of like when somebody is holding that clear of a mirror, that clear of a space. It's like whatever is not clear, whatever is not in alignment to that truth or that space is going to come up to be felt. So it's like with Henna, like especially when I first started working for her, and it still like, you know, comes up of like she holds that space of confidence, but it's not confidence in the fact of like this egoistic, like, you know, and it to me it felt like an ego. It felt like, oh, she just thinks she knows everything, and who is she to know all of this? But what it was it was just triggering all of my insecurities, all of my like striving and trying to like understand and hold on to these concepts. And it was like my mind wanting to fucking fall apart, to like, can I like, that I don't know anything, that I really fucking don't know anything. And it's like to utilize this space and to see this mirror, to really see these parts of me that it's like it's wanting to be shed, like it's coming up so that I can, you know, shed all of those parts that aren't in my full alignment to this truth, to the space, to what I truly know.
And it's gonna come up. You're shitting yourself if you think you're gonna be in this group and your stuff's not gonna come up. So expect it.
Yeah, and Eva,
And,
even
and
saying I used to mentally understand spiritual teachings, or I thought so. Now I don't. I don't know why I can't read the rest of the comment.
oh,
Yeah, and that's what's so beautiful. And that's like the fucking confusing thing for the mind, right? Because it's like, wait, I got this. Like, you know, I'd been listening to like Eckhart Tolle and Muji and Bentinho and like all these teachers, and I was like, I so fucking got it from the mind. But when you truly start to sense into presence, when you truly get to like rest into this space, you start to realize all of that fucking starts to break away. It's like all of the teachings, all the teachers, everything had to fall away for me to like fucking dissolve into like, I'm like, that there's nothing here. And that's the crazy part, I think, for the mind, because it wants to hold on to something because you thought you knew something, and it was like put into this like fucking box or container, and it's like that also has to dissolve.
and that's actually really good, that like, oh, you thought you knew it mentally and now you realize you don't know shit, because you don't. I don't. Like, we don't know. If you think you know something about something, you don't know anything. You have to keep like humble yourself. All of us. Like, I'm not claiming to know something that you don't know. I'm just humble enough to realize I don't fucking know anything. It's in that realization that like your power comes from that. You have access to such to something that you perceive you don't know of when you're coming from your mind. It's delusion, but it's the experience.
Yeah, no, Renda's saying, yeah, I feel so fake. It's hilarious because I teach yoga and meditation. But it's like so beautiful because I think like part of me was like not wanting to teach or do anything anymore. But it's like you can still walk into those spaces now. And can you just walk in completely empty? Like not needing to teach anything or not needing to know anything and just walk into that space. And it's like for me, it's like so much more magic like happens when I just walk in saying, I have no fucking idea how to do this. Let me just walk in and be here. And just see what happens. And I'd love to hear like what happens as you go forward, like teaching yoga and meditation, like from these new realizations and from this like emptying out.
The game really is how deeply can we feel our feelings. That's it, really. I mean, how deeply can we feel? And most people don't know how to feel, actually. They think they're feeling, but they're in their head, and what they're feeling is the resistance to not feeling the actual feeling that they have. So how much can you feel what your experience actually is right now? How authentic can you be? How transparent can you be to your current experience? That's the first step, right? Noticing what your authentic experience actually is. Can you lean into that experience? And you don't have to lean all the way in. It's scary, I get it. Just you lean in as much as you can, and then next time you try a little more. You don't have to be hard on yourself if you can't or don't want to feel all of the intensity because it can be quite a lot.
Mm.
So gentle, we do this gently. For a long time, I had that very like, I'm gonna fucking do this. Like, I have that like crazy in me, like the hardcore crazy. I think we all do to some extent to even go on this journey, but I used to do it. I used to do it like, I mean, I was raped, right? I was healing from a lot of trauma, and I was like, I don't fucking care. Like, I'm gonna put myself in the most like worst situation, and I'm gonna feel whatever comes up. And honestly, that that made my healing take a lot longer than it needed to because I was re-traumatizing myself. So I've really learned from my own journey and from working with so many people over the years. Like, the more gentle you are, the faster you heal. So it's okay. You don't need to be hard on yourself if you're scared to feel something all the way. You do what you can. You give yourself a break. But the key is to feel it with awareness. We just observe the feeling it fully, but bringing awareness to feeling that is the first step. And just start there. Like, I won't even go into anything after that right now.
Mm.
Can you give yourself permission to just start there? Maybe you're saying, oh, I already fucking know that. Like, okay, maybe you know that, but can you start over with a baby's curiosity and maybe you're getting triggered by like, who the fuck does she think she is?
Mm.
So you notice that, feel that. Maybe you hate me.
Mm. And sometimes it is like these other people that have to trigger something within us to be able to feel what was in us that wanted to be felt.
Like, who was
So
it,
these people
Kelly?
play a role, and it's really easy for us to point our finger.
Who was it who wrote
Oh
that
yeah, like,
post? Was it Brigitte? She was like, I hate Callie.
no, I think it was Petco. I don't even know
I
who
don't
that
know.
is. Like, yeah, there was a few people, and even like even Heart Lover, like, you know, it's like these people were posting. These people were posting in the group thinking that they knew something and like were giving advice even though they're like fucking suffering. And it's like that part of me is like, oh, like wanting to fucking point at them and be like, what is this? And it was an opportunity for me. And like once I saw, wow, why am I pointing out there? And it was like, fuck, I am like, you know, there's all this anger and still a part of me that was trying to hold on to fucking knowing something, or like this agitation and this anger. So I had to like, you know, release that, like release all of these outside pointers of the people who were like triggering that, and like allow myself to feel. And I was like able to feel, and like I cried, and like, you know, it was like right before this video, I like just like cried and allowed it to release. And then like it was able to like flow through. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, like space, like I don't know anything. Like, who am I to like point out anything? I really don't know anything. It's like, oh, this feels so much better to not know anything. Mm. Henna, you're cutting out. Your connection's pretty crappy, so it's cutting out. You're like, yeah, totally cutting out. Yeah, so it's awesome, Mom and Preet. Yes, you said, you know, it's kind of like this.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop and try
Oh,
it again.
there. Now you're good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
So maybe I wasn't supposed to be talking.
Hmm.
Hi, Lucy. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. So embrace whatever comes up. We can embrace whatever comes up. Mm. Can you slow down even as you feel intense emotions? They don't mean anything about you. We get to honor them and we feel them fully with awareness, with presence, but without a story attached. It doesn't mean anything about you. You're free from whatever you thought it meant. It's not true. It's just something that's there right now.
And just see how much, like, I know for me, it was like how much shame and guilt there was around emoting or having emotions or charges come up. Like, I really thought it meant something to do with me, even though, like, I knew I was like, oh, this has nothing to do with me. I'm not this emotion. I'm not this thought. I'm not this body. Like, I would play in that. But it was like masking and hiding this deep sense of shame or guilt that I had for having these emotions come up. So it was like first to really feel what that was for me. And it's okay to feel. We feel, in Henna, I've been talking about like this is like a huge, I feel, missing link in the communities, in a lot of the spiritual communities, because we like talk so much about, love and light, love and light, love and light, nothing but love and light. And we talk
You're
about
not
like,
the
I'm
body,
not
you're
this
not the body, you're not
body,
the
and
body, you're
I'm
not the body.
so like, above and beyond all of this. And it's like, yeah, but what's here in this moment?
The way out
What's
is through. That's what no one says. That's like the fucking gap. So I don't even know how it's a gap because it's so obvious. The way out of your shit is through it. I'm so sorry, but you cannot get around it.
avoid it?
You can't bypass it. Can't. You
And
can,
it's,
but stuck with it still.
yeah. And it's just the engine that's like running the whole show. And that's what I've noticed in a lot of the posts and some of the videos. It's like the mind is running, and underneath there's such an anxiety pattern or a stress or like just like such innocence underneath that just wants to be felt and heard and loved. And it's like even when, try to point to it, it like the mind, it just keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. And there's no space to just slow down and be like, what am I feeling? And even if you point, oh, what are you feeling? Like the mind just wants to keep running the show, and you can just see like that scared little like child or whatever trying to protect, because it's like, oh my God, I put on all this armor and this protection, and I have all these like mechanisms of, avoiding feeling. But it's like, okay, now it's like that was helpful up until this point and it was perfect for you, but it's like, now are you ready to let that go? Like, do you want to keep running that engine?
And it's the same thing that keeps you from being able to feel love and receive love.
Mm.
I was sobbing on the phone with Callie for like an hour before this call, actually. How can I show people that they can receive love and it's safe? Oops. Did not mean to put that face from.
Wow.
I
I can't read comments more. I can only read short comments.
Isn't that weird how it does that?
You too?
Yeah, because then it makes me press those stupid emoji things instead, and I can't read it.
I know. Veronica, we can only read half of your comment.
What a stupid setup. Why do they do it like that? Well, I don't know what you wrote fully, Veronica, but whatever that statement is that Ben says, does that Does that feel good to you? Because if it feels like shit, you're probably misinterpreting it from what he's expressing, in which case it's just not relevant, so you can just drop it. And if it feels
Mm.
like there's something good in there for you, then you follow that. It feels confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to try to grok it. It's confusing to your mind because you're trying to figure it out with your head. Can you intuit the space he comes from behind his words? Or not, maybe that's not relevant. Doesn't need to be. Everything he says doesn't have to apply. And that's the other thing. It's like, let's take our power back in our
Yeah.
progress, you know? That's a big one in the community too, and all this spiritual mumbo jumbo. You must know
That
more than me. You're further up than me. Like,
that was a big one for me, is putting all of my spiritual teachers and things on this pedestal, and it just kept me so fucking small. And I was like, well, they do know more than me, so who am I to do? And it was like, once I just had to like fucking smash all the pedestals. And like I said, it's like Veronica, it's like at some point, it's like all of these teachings just have to disappear. When that space is ready. And it was like there was such freedom and like, oh my God, like none of this has to make sense. I don't have to grok any of this. Like I can just let all of it go.
there
It was
is
just so
like,
exhausting.
yeah, and there is benefit to it, but it's like, at some point it's like, can you have the awareness to realize when it's supporting you and when it's actually like holding you back?
Mm,
And you know that by how you feel. Does this feel good for you to learn? Even underneath, say you get triggered and a lot of stuff comes up, but underneath that there's an intuition that's telling you if this is good for you or not. Can you tune into that? And it's okay if it's a no. It doesn't mean that
mm,
there's something wrong with you.
yeah.
It just means you know what you need in that moment, and it's not whatever you're learning, from that person. And we love you so much.
Mm.
There's so much love here for you
Mhm.
under all the ways that we might trigger you.
Mm.
So much love. So basically, we wanted to say, don't worry, um, if you get really, a lot of your stuff comes up after a video,
Mm.
or
Emotions or
emotions
yeah.
come up after something, or in this space, because they're going to come up in this space. And you're kidding yourself if you think it's not going to come up in this space.
And share it. Like
And
share it
share,
in the group. Feel free. Yeah.
go live. It's like we try to hop on here as much as possible. And maybe
Yeah.
we can't always make it, but we'll always try to.
Mm. Mm.
Summer.
Oh, beautiful Veronica.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I did something again. Oh, but it
You're
was
good.
a
You're good. Okay, guys. Love you.
keep going live. Keep going live. It's how we create the container. and it supports people. And when you can support someone else, doesn't it make you feel so good, you know? Even
And
if you
it's
don't.
not supporting others and trying to give them advice. Like, let's be clear on that.
We're
Like,
gonna keep saying that till it stops.
so many people are going live trying to give advice and like trying to like teach others, and it's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need, if you can just share your personal journey as raw and vulnerable and honest, that's the best service that you can give in this group. It's the best service to say, I don't fucking know, but here I am. Here's what I'm going through.
This is my experience right now in this moment.
This is my experience. This is what I'm feeling. That's the best thing that you can share.
Yeah, and maybe, Callie, maybe we can do like a meditation, a live one or something at some point
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, we were thinking, yeah, maybe we can do one on Zoom so everyone can pop on and we can see all of your faces too. We're thinking sometime this week.
We can start guiding people into presence, if that makes sense, you know, like a more experiential something. So.
Yeah, and then guiding you into presence, because it's like when you can really then rest into that space, then all of these feelings and emotions that you maybe never had the space to feel, then they're able to come up, and then you're in this safe container to finally be able to feel them.
Yeah, because then they have somewhere to go, right? Because it's like if all your feelings come up and you don't know what the fuck to do with them, it's like quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So this is why we talk about presence first, and then like, oh, well, okay, well, what is that? And then what do we do with our emotions when they come up? Well, you put them in that space. We love you. Keep posting, keep going live, keep sharing. Aman, thank you so much for being vulnerable and going live and sharing. So beautiful. Get happy if you get triggered by our videos. Get super. Okay. It's bedtime for me.